Hey guys, this is Sage from Growing Sage. I'm a growth coach and I'm back to talk to you about some more tips to make your life better. And the big topic for today is how do we increase our joy in our life? So I came up with 3 really easy ways for you to create more joy in your life. I kind of thought we'd keep the Valentine's thing going and spread some more love and spread some more joy this week, because I've always kind of wished that holiday was about a week long so we could show joy to everyone in our life and love to everyone in our life. So I'm glad you're here. Again, I'm Sage from Growing Sage. If you think there's anybody in your life that would be interested in this topic about 3 easy ways to create more joy in your life, then please feel free to share it or invite somebody that is a loved one in your life so that we can talk about this good topic today. First off, hopefully everyone's staying warm, because I know the country is just freezing just about everywhere. Hence all the layers I'm wearing, but I'm excited to talk about joy. So let's get there. So I wanted to start with just a couple background ideas about joy. So the first one I want to talk about is how joy is a choice. Now, that one took me a lot of years to figure out, and I'm not saying that I'm a professional at that skill yet, but I'm doing a much better job of realizing that I get to wake up every single day and choose joy. Now, if you think about it like this, there's always somebody out there who has it worse than you do. Always. I kind of think about those families you've heard about where, let's say 2 brothers grow up in a household and their dad is, major alcoholic and he's an angry guy, and he grew up in an abuse and now he's drinking alcohol all the time and he's abusive in his family as well. And that's what the father of these 2 guys grew up with. And I've heard tons and tons of stories and come across these kind of families in my life, but you can have a situation where one of the brothers just is so mad about their life and they're angry all the time, and so they start drinking too. They do what they've seen, and when they get to the point where they have their family of their own, the way they communicate is through that anger and that abuse, just like their father did, carrying that, circle around another loop. And then the other brother could have had an epiphany at some point in his life, and he just decides, you know what? Not for me. I'm going to do everything I can to take baby little steps away from this and be a different person. And maybe that brother goes into social work and he helps, the kids in his neighborhood, his community, to navigate a journey out of that situation. Everybody's always got it, different in life, but you can for sure make a point that everybody, there's always somebody you can think of, I guess, that has it worse than you. So, and you can always still choose, regardless of how bad it's been for you. You can always still choose. The next thing I want to talk about that has to do with choice is the language that you choose to use. And this is one that I've really gotten into doing in the last couple of years. And I'm going to say a lot of it's based on reading some of Gabby Bernstein's books. She's awesome if you haven't read any of her books. But as positive as I can be, I still am not really a fan of mornings. And I often wake up in the mornings and I think about my to-do list and the words, I have to do this, always come into my head. And so I have been practicing something for over a year now, where when I wake up and I'm like, I just want to stay in bed for a little bit longer, I instantly switch that to, and I get to. So I will say, after this 3-day weekend, I get to go back to work and I get to get my body back on a schedule, which it enjoys. And I get to see some beautiful faces of the people I work with and start navigating your language differently. Instead of I have to, I get to. And that's a choice. Now, another thing is that's a choice is how you choose to view things in your life. And I can't tell you how often I run into people. I mean, it's literally weekly. I hear this several times where the people around me will say, I don't know why the universe is doing this to me, or why God's doing this to me, or, you know, why my life is so bad. And they'll keep using this connotation of all these things are happening to them and that they're upset about it. And I'm not saying life isn't tough. It is dang tough a lot of times. And I can see where you can get that in that place in moments, but it's really key to try and navigate your way out of that language and out of that choice as fast as you can. Because you could also start reteaching your brain, and especially your subconscious, to start looking at it as opportunities. You can look at it as, I'm so lucky because I'm gonna get to learn more patience out of this deal. I'm so grateful to the universe for handing me yet another way to learn how to be more grateful for the things I already have. That doesn't mean you're negating the bad, and it doesn't mean that you're forgetting how tough life can be. Those are all things that are growing us into better versions of ourselves. But if you're stuck in this poor me, why is this always happening to me mentality versus look at all these opportunities I have to grow into a better version, and next time this happens, I'll be smart enough to figure it out and I won't have to worry about it. So that's a choice as well. So let's talk about one more background thing before we get to the 3 big tips about bringing more joy into your life that are super, super easy. I think you're going to really like them. So again, I'm Sage from Growing Sage. I'm a growth coach, but I'm here to coach you a little bit on joy in your life. So the other background thing about joy I wanted to talk to you about is that joy is a practice. It's a learned skill. And you, if any of you out there play an instrument, learning to play guitar is not something you do 3 times and then you can play your favorite song. That's not how things work. You have to practice skills. And I believe joy falls into that category as well. We have to choose and then practice things that get us closer to joy. So I believe that part of that has to do with building a better bag of tricks, or a toolbox or a toolkit, if you want to look at it that way. But it's all these little things you can pick up along the way from loved ones, or for reading good blogs, or, you know, hopefully watching this tonight. But you're building this toolbox. And if you think about it, you know, maybe when you bought your first house, if you're there yet, you started off with maybe an adjustable screwdriver and a hammer. And that was about it. And now you probably have a nice little shelf or wall of tools to handle a bunch of projects, because you build those things up over time. And joy can be the same way, that practice. So you want to really start learning and asking yourself what brings you back to a state of joy. Because it'd be silly and naive for me to tell you that you're going to be happy or in this awesome frame of mind all the time. That's just not how life works. But if you have tools that bring you back to that joy, that's the key. So how can you start building a better toolbox? What are some of your tools? So let me just tell you a couple of mine. You know, talking with a really good friend, just like a really good dinner where you just get to like get everything out there and support each other. That really helps me. You know, maybe reading a good book or a good article or a motivational blog. You know, just search out some topics, watch a YouTube video on something that you've been wanting to work on. One of my favorites for sure is really loud rock music. I like to run hard with really loud rock music blaring in my ears, and it just gets me back to peace. So why don't you start thinking of what yours are and try and put as many healthy tools in that toolbox as you can. And then practice choosing to use them to get back to joy. So that's a little background about joy. I think we probably better, for a tiny sec, address how do we get to these places of low joy. And so another one of my jobs that I do is I work with high school students on their wellness. And we had this awesome discussion last week about your wellness, and it stemmed out of a conversation about addiction. And I told them one of my beliefs that I want to share with you right now. And that is that I believe we were all meant to be here because we are all a gift to this planet, to this universe. We're all meant to be here to serve an awesome purpose. And I believe part of that purpose is to try and grow ourselves on a daily basis through our experiences. And then as we continue to grow and level up and become better versions of ourselves, then we can use those trials and tribulations to make sure that then in turn we can build that toolbox for ourselves, but then we can use those things to give back to others. And that giving back to others is the truest joy there is. So I was talking to these high school students that I believe that, I kind of call this Earth School. That's the term I use. So you might hear me say that some other time. But I believe that we're all here at Earth School, and sometimes Earth School is redonkulous. I can't even figure out sometimes how it can throw us as many curveballs as it does at once. And I can hear myself in my head just going, uncle, uncle, uncle. And I don't think that I'm any different than anyone else out there. I think that we have, our highs and lows in life school. And what we were talking about with the addiction is that when life gets really hard and your brain is like screaming uncle, what kind of happens is this, hole kind of forms right here around your heart. And it just is this kind of, it's uncomfortable, and it's kind of this cesspool of goo, and you're just beat down and worn out, and life is hard. And we can just get overstressed and lonely and all those things, and it forms this hole. And what we can do is we can either choose to shove addictions into that hole, because addictions are an addiction for a reason. They give us a temporary fix, a temporary high, a pleasure for a little bit. And we can choose to, plug up that hole with those addictions. But the unfortunate part about it is that those addictions will at some point empty out of that hole, and the hole's back. And sometimes the hole can get bigger with bad addictions. And that's pretty nasty stuff. Now, again, what I was talking to my high school students about is that nobody's perfect. So let me put that out there. We all have addictions that aren't wonderful for us. Let's hope that your addiction isn't bad, yucky drugs or running your family into financial ruin because of a gambling or shopping addiction. Those are things that need some serious help, need some counseling, need a good support system. But there's an obvious lesser evils like, that third glass of wine or that second bowl of ice cream or whatever it may be. And you can have those things, and believe me, I'm not going to judge anybody for what they're shoving in that hole, because I do the same thing. I am just a work in progress to try and fill that hole with things that are healthy addictions instead of, a little bit rougher ones. And like for example, on my to-do list tonight is I got a new tea, and I really want to make a nice cup of tea. And I got a good workout in today, so I really want to fire up a good Epsom salt bath with my tea. And I just bought this Kindle book I'm really excited to read, and I just want 40 minutes to myself. And that's how I'm going to fill up my hole from my busy day, and do it with things that nurture my spirit and nurture my heart and nurture my soul, because that hole often forms right by your heart, and it's for a reason. We got to fill that up as much as we can with things that are good for us. So basically, we've done all this background stuff on joy. We've talked about how it's a choice. We've talked about how it's a practice. We talked about how, that hole or that can open up where we're farther from joy. So now let's get to the good part. What are the 3 easy ways to bring more joy into your life? Okay, so number 1 is a culmination of advice from lots of books I've read and lots of great life coaches I've had and spiritual mentors and healers that are in my life. And that is always start and end your day with gratitude. And I also include in that affirmations and intentions. So let me just give you an example, quick examples. I go to bed at night, and when my head hits the pillow, I always say a handful of things that I'm grateful for from that day. And then I say a couple affirmations. A lot of times they're about getting a good night's sleep and give me the rest to rejuvenate from that day. And then I set a couple intentions for the next day. So maybe I know that I've got a busy day at work the next day and that I've got a long to-do list. So maybe I'll set an intention of allow me to rest well so that I may navigate my to-do list tomorrow with ease and grace. And that's the way I go to bed at night. And then when I get up in the morning, I start with I get to, and then say a couple things I get to do that day. And then after I do my morning ritual and I get in my car to start my commute, I have a reminder that goes off on my phone that it says gratitude, intention, or affirmations. And so I run through my series of 3 on my way to work as well. So that's my number 1 for you. So start and end your day with gratitude and intention. Okay, so second one. We already talked about this a lot, but choose to fill that emptiness, that hole, that beat down feeling from Earth School being really tough on you, and choose to build your toolbox to fill it with better practices. So maybe you guys can join me from afar, especially since it's so chilly tonight, with a cup of tea and an Epsom salt bath. Those are great ways to just simmer down that stress from the day and rejuvenate yourself, because you can always choose to find new ways to build that toolbox and then use them for yourself. Now the third one is to, and this is my favorite by far, is spread joy to other people. Because if you feel like you do and you're having a tough day, imagine how many people you cross paths with that are feeling the exact same way. And it can literally take seconds to have an impact on somebody and improve their day. And a lot of that just comes from being present and maybe throwing out a really awesome compliment. So for example, today, I overheard somebody around me talking about getting a really good night's sleep and how they felt really good. And I could just see their energy was so healthy, and they were present and they were filled with joy. And that person made a comment about helping somebody, and I said, well, that's because you said you got a lot of sleep. And when you get a lot of sleep, I just see this joy in your face. I see your energy is good, and you've got such a big heart anyway. But when you're rested, you're truly rested, that energy is at its peak, and then you can give that back to somebody else. And I witnessed it today, and that's so cool. It took me 1 minute to have that interaction with that person, and I wish I could have snapshotted their face for you. They knew I saw them. And really, folks, two of the most important things all of us humans want and desire is to be seen and heard. So spend 1 minute doing that for somebody else. And it's not only going to make them feel better, but I guarantee when you see that look on their face where they are shining back to you that you saw them and you heard them, that energy is going to spread and it's going to come back around to you. Giving back, that's the true joy. It really is. And I hope that, I'm so excited because I was so excited to talk to you guys tonight. I really hope that these 3 things, starting your and ending your day with gratitude and intention, building up your toolbox and choosing healthy things to take care of yourself so you can rest and rejuvenate for the next day, and then spreading that joy with others. Those are things you can, get done with this Facebook Live, and you can go share with others, or you can go try on yourself, and you can practice those skills, because we choose joy and we return to joy faster through practice. Gosh, it's so much fun spending time with you guys. I so appreciate everybody who's watching. Please share this with somebody who you think might enjoy it as well. Again, I'm Sage. I'm a growth coach. You can follow me at Growing Sage on Facebook, at Growing Sage Journey on Instagram, and then my webpage is growingsagejourney.com. There's some new blogs on there you might want to check out. You know what, guys? I have a lot of gratitude, and it takes a community for us to grow, and that's why it's called Growing Sage. I'm here working on growing myself, and I'm so glad you joined me. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Stay warm out there. Love you guys.